Hello, friends! It is morning in Western Europe. It is evening in Eastern Asia. What time is it in Moscow? Сколько времени в Москве? I want to introduce you to the alphabet which is widespread throughout between Europe and Asia, on the territory currently ruled by Vladimir Putin. Here is the full alphabet containing all 33 Russian letters. What I want to do is to go on a journey all around the world, to visit every continent and to learn the names of every continent in Russian characters. By traveling so, we will learn about a half of Russian alphabet. Ready? Okay, it's already afternoon in Europe, and therefore we start our journey from the continent of infinite possibilities, where it is already a morning. America. How is it written in Russian? America. Very similar, right? In fact, 4 characters of 7 coincide in both languages. Both words start and end with the first letter of their alphabets, A in English and R in Russian. The second letter is M, which has even the same name in both alphabets. It's then followed by E in English and Y in Russian, respectively. Only 3 characters don't coincide. The fourth letter in the Russian name is R, which is equivalent to English R. The Russian R looks like the English T, like in the last name of the Russian President Putin. However, they denote totally different sounds, therefore don't mix them up. The next letter resembles a reverse English N. It's called E and analogous to English I. And after it, we have Russian K, which is completely the same as English K. Now we can already start to see one of the most distinguishable facts about the Russian language. In Russian, there are so-called hard and soft consonants and hard and soft vowels. Almost every consonant can be pronounced in hard and soft way, and usually it is determined by the type of the vowel succeeding the consonant. That's why in writing, the same character conveys both hard and soft variants of a consonant, but every hard and soft vowel has its specific letter in the alphabet. For instance, in America, we have a hard vowel A. Its corresponding soft counterpart in the alphabet is Ya. The other vowels in America are soft Y and soft E. Their corresponding hard counterparts in the alphabet are E and U. The type of the consonants is derived from the type of succeeding vowels. That's why in America we have consonants soft M, soft R, and hard K, and we say America instead of America. I'd like to compare with Greek name as well. In Greek, the consonant is called Ameriki. Here we can observe even more similarities with Russian. 5 characters of 7 in capital coincide with the Russian: alpha, mu, epsilon, rho, and kappa. Alright, in America, we've learned new Cyrillic characters which are absent in the Latin script, as well as ones which look like the Latin counterparts, but denote totally different sounds. They are E and R. As evening approaches in America, it's time to fly over the Pacific Ocean, together with the motion of the sun, and explore a new continent. Now we are landing in Australia. In Russian, the continent is called Australia. Looking at the characters from the English point of view, the word appears to start with the first 3 letters of the English alphabet, A, B, C. Well, it starts with the first letter of the Russian alphabet, R. But then it's followed by the letter V, which looks like English P. However, it is equivalent in English to V, like in the first name of the Russian President Vladimir Putin. The next, third letter is S, which looks like English C, and equivalent to English S, as we can see in English Australia. Then it's succeeded by the letter T, which is exactly the same as English T. It is followed then by Russian R, familiar to us already from America. The next one is clearly Russian R, and after it we see a new letter L. It's equivalent to English L. Then it's followed by already familiar to us E. Finally, the Russian Australia ends with the last letter of the Russian alphabet, Ya. Here on this continent, we can already observe the hard and soft counterparts of the same vowel what we learned from America. These are A and Ya. So here we have 2 times a hard R and 1 soft E and 1 soft Ya. Now I'm ready to present another fact about Russian language, voiceless and voiced consonants. They are also presented in English, as for instance voiceless P and voiced B, voiceless F and voiced V. So the second letter in Russian Australia is voiced V. However, in this word it's pronounced as voiceless F, and the whole word is pronounced as Australia instead of Australia. It is due to the following voiceless letter F. If any consonant is succeeded by a voiceless one, then the former is usually pronounced as voiceless if there is the corresponding counterpart. This is what distinguishes Russian language from many others, including English. For comparison, I'm showing also the Greek name. It is written as Australia. Again, we can observe more similarities with Russian. While between English and Russian there are only 3 coincidences, in Greek we can see even 5 matches: alpha, tau, rho, alpha, and lambda. Lambda, which looks exactly the same as the Russian A. Now it's time to take off to a new continent. Oh, our plane is delayed for some minutes, and I've got time to show you something. If we remove some letters from Australia, we can get the name of another country, Austria, which is in English Austria. And remember, kangaroos are in Australia, not in Austria. Alright, we are already departing. Ouch! It's so freezing cold! Where are we? Ah! It is Antarctica! In Russian, its name is written as Antarctida. Okay, let's check which letters we already know here. They are A, T, R, K, E, and they correspond to the same sounds in the English name. There are only 2 new characters here. The first one is in the second position and is called N. It looks like English H. However, it is actually equivalent to English N, as in English Antarctica. And the second new letter is in the last but one position and called there. This character is totally new, as it's absent in the English alphabet. The corresponding equivalent in English is D. They denote similar sounds. A new fact about Russian sounds I'd like to present here is aspiration of consonants. As you might have noticed before, English consonants are in general pronounced with more aspiration as their Russian equivalents. Let me demonstrate here on the coldest continent on the planet. Perhaps it will help us a bit to warm up. Antarctica, Antarctida. If we try to say Antarctida with English consonants, retaining Russian R for simplicity, it would sound something like Antarctida. Compare with the Russian Antarctida. Let's listen again. English Antarctida. Russian Antarctida. I hope you could hear the slight difference between more aspirated English T and D and the less aspirated Russian T and D. As always in this video lesson, I'm showing you also the Greek name for the continent, Antarktiki. And again, there are more similarities between Greek and Russian than between English and Russian. 6 against 5. 5 in English and 6 in Greek. Brrr, it's time to leave the continent as fast as possible before we turn into ice. Now we are landing on the hottest continent of the planet Earth. It is Africa. In Russian, it is called Africa. We know already the letters A, R, E, and K. The new letter is F, which is completely analogous to English F, as in Africa. Since we don't have much time because we want still to visit Asia in the daylight, I'll quickly show you the Greek name for Africa. It is Afriki. Again, we can notice how similar the Russian and Greek words are in capital. As a matter of fact, the Latin and Cyrillic scripts, in other words, writing systems, were developed from the Greek alphabet. Alright, it's time to fly against the motion of the sun, as we still want to see a new continent before the sunset. Asia, the most mysterious continent with lots of historical sites. In Russian, it's called Asia. We have learned already R, E, and Ya. The new letter is Z. It resembles the numeral 3 in writing, although they are distinguishable in printing standards. This letter is equivalent in English to Z, the last letter of the English alphabet. Finally, in Greek, the continent is called Achaia, with sigma in the place of the Russian Z. Alright, time to go home to our continent. Welcome home to Europe. How do Russian tourists call this continent? Europa. Here we have already many familiar characters, though some of them may still be confusing, like V, which is not B, and R, which is not P. There are only two letters remaining. The first one is O, which is exactly the same as English O. The last new letter for today is P, which is equivalent to English P. By the way, with Russian P, the last name of the current ruler of Russia, Putin, begins. Now I want already to draw your attention to the Greek name of the continent, Evropi. The Greek pi in the last but one position is completely the same as Russian P, and they denote the same sound. And again, there are more similarities between Russian and Greek than between Russian and English. By the way, we have already learned enough letters to write down the main private property of Vladimir Putin in Russian. It's called Rossiya, which means Russia. Alright, finally we are at home and we can take a rest. To sum up, we have visited all 6 continents of the planet Earth, accomplished a round-the-world voyage, and we have learned 17 of 33 Russian letters. I hope you've enjoyed my first introduction to the Russian alphabet, and I thank you for listening and traveling together with me.